boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. The continued fallout of the Shields versus Daniels fight this weekend. Dan Canastota of CompuBox said, Shields needs to move back down to 168 or 160. There's absolutely zero competition at heavyweight. To which Twitter user Stacy Smith queried, and who's at 160 and 168 that is competition? Dan replied with Jadeja Green, Tam Tebow, Michaela Mayer can jump up. John Carlos responded by saying, I get your point, but I just don't see anyone being competitive enough. She's too good in my opinion, to which Dan replied, true, but these fights are pointless. For a perspective, before Amanda Serrano signed to MVP and Jake Paul came into it, years before that, she signed to Matchroom. She had just won the WBO title at 140 pounds, and she dropped all the way down to 115 for the Eva Voraberger fight for a WBO title down there. And these are the lengths that Amanda had to go to for opportunities, going from 140 all the way down to 115, to where if somebody says that Claressa needs to drop down from heavyweight down to super middle, hey, it's been done before. There's nobody up there. There are no high-profile fights to have in the heavyweight division or the light heavyweight division. So if you need to drop down for high-profile fights, that's just what you gotta do. Guys over at Fight Disciples had a hot take. Claressa Shields is incredible, but so utterly dominant in the most irrelevant women's weight classes. There are only 20 female heavyweights with a win on their record, worldwide. Without rivals, her GOAT status is without substance. It's the same thing I've been saying. The fighter can only be as great as their opposition, and there is no great opposition at heavyweight. And you say that, well, she's already fought Franchon Cruz, and she's already fought Savannah Marshall. Then fight them again. Katie Taylor fought Delphine Persoon 2 times, Chantel Cameron 2 times, Amanda Serrano 3 times. Go back even further. Evander Holyfield fought Michael Moorer 2 times, Mike Tyson 2 times, Lennox Lewis 2 times, Riddick Bowe 3 times. Go back. Lennox Lewis fought Oliver McCall 2 times, Hasim Rahman 2 times, Evander Holyfield 2 times. The list goes on. It's not unusual for the best fighters to have to fight the other best fighters more than once, and Claressa actually has a precedent because there's just not a lot going on up there at those heavier weights. So you may as well face the somebodies again. So this was said to be the final fight of Claressa Shields' existing Salida Promotions deal. She is now a free agent. What's next? Laila Ali, I guess. Laila Ali, who she made an offer not but a few days ago for the sum of $15 million to unretire and have a fight with her via Win Records and World's Best Bank, quote-unquote offer. Except that the legitimacy of this $15 million offer has now come under question. Now, I had heard that one other content creator decided to look up the address posted on the giant-sized Publishers Clearinghouse check. Based on what that content creator said, it turns out that that's not even a real address. I decided to look it up myself. 11223 Big Event Road, Los Angeles, California, does not appear to be a legitimate, verifiable address in Los Angeles. While it was mentioned in a Facebook post about a potential boxing match between Claressa Shields and Laila Ali, this does not confirm it as a real, physical location. As for the other address listed on the check, 111 Bank Street, Big City, US 00000 is not a real address in the United States. Big City is not a real city name. 00000 is not a valid zip code in the United States. Zip codes are typically 5 digits and represent specific geographic areas. The lowest numbered zip code is 00501, which is for the IRS in New York City. So both those addresses aren't actually real addresses, and what about the bank? World's Best Bank?
No!
Search results indicate that World's Best Bank is not a real bank in the sense of being an official name for a financial institution. So let's recap that both the addresses posted on that check are not real physical locations. The bank itself is not a real financial institution, so how are we to believe that this is a real offer?
It's not.
This offer to Laila Ali is about as legitimate as Claressa Shields' quote claim.
There's no substance to it. There's nothing behind it.
Why would Claressa Shields, a grown woman, stage a mock press conference with a mock check
that isn't real?
If the addresses posted on the check are not real, that means the check itself isn't real, which means the offer isn't real.
It's a make-believe offer, so the question is, why would Claressa Shields, a grown woman, stage a press conference for what is a make-believe offer?
Because of what I told you. It's likely a bluff. It's an offer that Claressa Shields never expected Laila to accept, so that when Laila doesn't accept it, Claressa can then presume to humiliate her for not accepting it. This offer is to Laila Ali what Wilder's offer was to Anthony Joshua.
Fake.
Never made sense to me that you're gonna give Laila Ali $15 million, then whatever you gotta give Claressa, then whatever it costs to get undercard fighters on this thing, whatever it costs a production team to shoot it, that would put the value of the fight in the neighborhood of, I don't know, 20, 25 million, 30 million?
What?
By all accounts, that giant-sized novelty check that says Laila Ali 15 million in big letters is a fake.
Fake.
Why would she think she could get away with this?
Well, because there's a small rabble of individuals, a small faction of fans that seem to go along with whatever she says, for no other reason than she said it.
Sycophants looking for brownie points.
Sycophants that veteran content creator Mr. Moonshine addressed, saying, "You mofos, stop with trying to get brownie points from Shields. The performance was below her level and expectations. She wants to be praised like men and be on pound-for-pound lists alongside men, and says that she would beat both Keith Thurman and the Triple G's of the world. So let's critique her like we do everyone else. It was a trash performance. If Shakur, Canelo, Teofimo, or Tank performed like this with that caliber of fighter, they would get flamed. Stop analyzing shit like y'all are waiting on some pussy from her."
I didn't even bother to analyze that fight. The outcome was a foregone conclusion.
Getting to the crux of it, it would appear that Claressa Shields' offer to Laila was not even a legitimate offer, but there are some that went along with this willingly. They never questioned it.
Because they're sycophants.
If the offer to Laila isn't even real, that makes it a lot less likely that she's going to come out of retirement after close to 20 years of not boxing for a make-believe offer.
I take it that she's not next.
And with Claressa Shields now being a free agent, Laila Ali likely not being next, who knows what the future holds for her?
This is just childish.
Slow brow, which is what I've come to expect from Claressa Shields, the quote-unquote GWOAT.
Greatest wannabe of all times.
Not that pursuing a 47-year-old, 18 years retired Laila Ali was ever a good idea to me anyway, but if you're gonna do that, at least make a real offer.
Just a real waste of time.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, news broke yesterday that Francisco Rodriguez avoided suspension despite Galal Yafai fight becoming a no contest. The World Boxing Council has opted not to suspend Francisco Rodriguez after his brutal 12-round beatdown of Galal Yafai. Rodriguez's post-fight drug test through VADA and the World Boxing Council's clean boxing program detected the stimulant heptaminol.
The World Boxing Council tries their best not to suspend Mexican fighters that pop hot.
Instead, the World Boxing Council have placed Rodriguez on a 12-month probation period, changed the result of the bout to a no contest, and reinstated the Olympic gold medalist Yafai as their interim champion after Rodriguez claimed the belt from him in June. They also have ordered a rematch.
What?
Because the bout happened under the jurisdiction of the British Boxing Board of Control, however, Team Rodriguez must await the verdict of the governing body of the sport in the UK. Rodriguez set CompuBox records in the process of his resounding win. Yafai, 32, had to go to the hospital and took around 2 weeks to recover from the loss, which marked his first defeat as a professional.
Now, just because the World Boxing Council decided not to suspend him doesn't mean that the BBBOC will give him amnesty. In case you're not aware, the BBBOC often dishes out lengthy suspensions, anywhere in between 2 to 4 years, unlike the customary 6 months to a year you see in America. When the BBBOC dishes out a suspension, usually lasts a while.
Where the World Boxing Council has chosen to be a lot more lenient and a lot more understanding, the sanctioning body explained, after a thorough factual and scientific review of the adverse finding and considering Champion Rodriguez's admission of the circumstances of his non-intentional ingestion of a banned substance and the fact that Mr. Rodriguez had reported in his WBC CBP registration document the use of an over-the-counter energy booster, which label included 2 banned substances. The WBC and Champion Rodriguez agreed to enter into an adjudication agreement.
What a joke.
The WBC ruled that the ingestion was accidental, unintentional, unknowing, and not directed to enhance performance. They are also placing Rodriguez, 33, on probation status for 12 months from the date of the sample collection. One member of Yafai's team called the ruling absolutely ridiculous, while one of Galal's brothers, Gamal, a retired fighter, took to a social media to write a 12-month ban and a rematch. Couldn't write it, and what a load of con men.
Like I said, the World Boxing Council tries their darndest to not suspend Mexican fighters of Mexican descent because they're a Mexican-run organization based out of Mexico.
One could argue that they are complicit with doping in the sport, since they always seem to come up with lofty explanations for Mexican fighters that pop hot.
Did the same thing with Julio Cesar Martinez, the same thing with Ray Vargas, the same thing with Oscar Valdez. They did the same thing with Canelo.
They always do this.
So what's the solution? Even though Yafai has been allowed to retain his interim status via the WBC, he should chuck it. He should chuck it in protest of that sanctioning body that is complicit with doping in the sport. He should chuck it to not comply with their order.
He should make a public statement denouncing the WBC and their dubious business practices that always seem to accommodate fighters of Mexican descent. He should send a message, a strong one.
Humiliate them. Use this as an opportunity.
Because who could fault him for it? There's a reason that his loss was just overturned to a no contest, and it's not because Rodriguez is a clean athlete. It's because he's not.
Stick it to him, Yafai.
Publicly brand them complicit with doping in the sport of boxing because the World Boxing Council refuses to lay down the law. Now, we don't yet know what the BBBOC is going to do, because what we're talking about is a fighter of Mexican descent who fought in the UK. They may ban him from fighting in the UK, but I don't know how that plays out in the US or Mexico.
Might still be able to fight there.
In any event, somebody should hold the WBC's feet to the fire. Seldom ever happens.
This is a rare opportunity to where a fighter would be 100% completely justified to go after them.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, the continued fallout of the revisions to the Ali Act, it's going to strip the rights of boxers. Everything you need to know about the proposed changes to the Ali Act.
Here comes a load of bullshit.
We knew this was coming, and now the bill is out there in the open. Could it change the face of boxing? Eric McGracken, absolutely. Change the face of boxing in a way that it's going to strip the rights of boxers. So the Ali Act, introduced a good 25 years ago, was brought in place because boxers were being exploited financially through promoter practices. And this bill basically says, hey, a new type of promoter could be created that doesn't have to comply with the Ali Act so long as they do certain things. So that's terrible for boxers, and boxers need to pay attention to this because their rights are under jeopardy right now. And this bill could set back the rights of boxers decades if it passes.
It's not an encouraging omen that this Eric guy chose to lead with a sensationalist claim.
Do you feel that they will pay attention to it, or do you think that some people are chasing short-term money without looking at the long-term picture? I hope boxers will pay attention, is the best thing I can say. I don't want to be negative. The one thing that's difficult is boxers. Unlike a lot of other organized sports, they don't have a union. There's not a centralized place where a body of boxers are together and they could respond in a collective way. But the mixed martial arts fighters Fighters Association, the MMAFA, even though MMA is not boxing, the MMAFA has been organized for well over a decade, and they've been pushing to reform the Ali Act to expand it to all prize fighters. It makes no sense that boxers have certain rights, but other prize fighters, be it kickboxers, Muay Thai, mixed martial artists, can be exploited in a way that boxers can't be exploited.
More sensationalist claims.
How could the Ali Act, that only exists in America, service as protection for kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters when those scenes aren't even a thing in America? They literally aren't.
Kickboxing is more of a thing in Europe and parts of Asia, obviously. Muay Thai.
Eric continued, so boxers' rights shouldn't be stripped away, and if I was a professional boxer, or if I was a high-caliber amateur boxer, thinking of turning pro, and concerned that my rights were going to be stripped, I would go to the Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association. I would organize with them collectively to make sure your voice is heard, because this law shouldn't be passed so simply. Look after a promoter's financial interests. If you're a congressperson and you're going to vote on this, you want to make sure it's good for the industry. You want to make sure it's good for the health of the sport.
What you want to do is make sure that you're not making sensationalist claims about a revision that likely won't alter the way the sport operates.
I wouldn't even call it a revision so much as an addition. It empowers an interested party or interested parties to form their own little UBO, their own little league.
But here's the thing. Boxing's existing infrastructure does not change. The boxers themselves' rights being stripped away,
That's a gross misrepresentation of what this is, because the boxers have a choice.
they're not obligated to box under these UBOs, of which there are none right now, by the way, and there's only one in the works. TKO Boxing, helmed by Dana White and Turkey LL Sheik.
And however it works, whatever its infrastructure is, boxers are not obligated to box under the TKO banner. Their rights haven't been stripped away.
That's what makes this a gross misrepresentation of things. You're acting like every boxer coming out of the amateur circuit into the paid ranks has to box for Dana White, has to box for Turkey LL Sheik.
No, they don't. And no, they won't.
So whose rights are being stripped away?
Nobody. Because if you decide to sign on with TKO Boxing, that's your prerogative. And whatever you sign up for, you sign up for. But you're not obligated to sign with them.
It's just an alternative to the existing model that needs some reform, since virtually every major American network has walked away from boxing,
indicating that clearly something is wrong with its infrastructure, something is wrong with the existing model. This is a separate lane, an alternative to that. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't.
But sending everybody into a panic with these sensationalist and exaggerated claims isn't conducive towards anything. It's almost like you're trying to slander them before they even get off the ground.
It's almost like you're trying to deter fighters from going to TKO when you never know. Some fighters might actually benefit from boxing under that banner.
Every boxer's not Canelo. Every boxer's not Katie Taylor. Some fighters might stand to benefit from TKO's framework,
from its infrastructure, its regular schedule of activity, and what it promises. If they can deliver on those promises, then some fighters that are not so popular might actually benefit from it.
I choose to be optimistic about what TKO could be, because if nothing else, boxing does need reform. In America especially, it needs something new, something fresh.
Quit with your doomsday forecaster, right?